Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. We are here with Tiffany Hobson, and we are going to talk Starch solution. Um,
Woo.
it is a big day. A big day. It is definitely a big day, and I have my special coffee, so I might get a little blah 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 blah. Because I haven't had any caffeine in a while. I still have a little bit of the scratchiness, so I do have my water as well. So we can just, as long as I keep things kind of moist in there, I seem to be okay. They are, a disclaimer, they are doing work across the street on the internet, on the fiber lines. Who knows what that means for us? I think they're just putting in another set of lines, but anything could happen, right? They could nick a line or anything like that. So if we just disappear, just know that that is probably what has happened, is they have nicked a line. So welcome, Tiffany. How has your last few couple weeks been?
Hi. Well, first off, I have to say happy birthday, Cheryl.
Thank
And
you. Thank you.
I'm a big birthday person because for those of us that have birthdays around major holidays, you get overlooked. If
Hmm.
I know I'm not going to do this to you, but I would be jumping up and down and singing and, making a spectacle of my, but I won't. Just happy birthday.
I was
Um,
telling Tiffany beforehand that I told Kathy, like, if we ever go to a restaurant or something, and I said, do not send them around to sing to me. Do not, because that will not, I will not be happy about that. So every time they do that to somebody, I always shrink for them because I'm always like, oh my gosh. So yeah, I'm a little bit too shy for that kind of stuff. And it's bundle week, right? So
yes.
that time of the year, that first through the 10th this year, and the bundle will be gone on the 10th at midnight Pacific Standard Time on the 10th. So be sure that you get yours early. If you would like to purchase your bundle through us, there's a link below in the show notes that you can use. Lots of good stuff in the bundle this year. Actually, there is stuff from the McDougall people, about Dr. McDougall's legacy that you can check out. Tammy Kramer, Chef Yin, a bunch of people have been doing lots of recipes online about Kathy's pizza class and cookbook that she has in the bundle this year. And she's got some amazing stuff, like some pourable oat cheese that is just, I can attest to, is amazing. So if you are interested in the bundle, give it a look. Check it out. If we have time later, maybe we'll go through some of it. But this is about the Starch solution, so let's dive into it. Anybody have any questions this morning for Tiffany right off the bat? I see we have Lisa is here. Lisa is also in the bundle. Lisa is part of a bundle submission that I did with her and Gina and Jennifer Diamond, talking about coaching and how it can help you. So that's something else you can check out in the bundle. TS is here from Southern California. Els is here. Gina is here. Let's see. And Jane is here from the, I believe, Winston-Salem area. She will recognize my hat for the masked outdoor fitters people. We were actually there for Veg Fest on Sunday. It was our first in-person appearance that we'd done in a really long time, in Statesville at the Veg Fest, and it was really good. And we had a really good time. It was too short. It was a very nice venue, and we really, really liked it a lot. So we will probably go back to that one at some point in time. But anybody have any questions for Tiffany? I know there's a little delay in getting stuff through. Tiffany, what's been going on in your world?
Day 5 of a 12-day program is going on right now.
Oh,
So, waking up early, checking in with patients, seeing how they're doing, getting to Dr. Lim, my morning report on all the patients. And then I usually jump over and then I see all my weekly patients or monthly patients. But today I scheduled this week so that I would only be with you and then I could turn into checking emails, being a mom before picking up my daughter.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What time? How early do you have to get up when you do that?
Depends on the program and how many people. So there are programs where I do wake up in the 2 or 3 a.m. hour because I
Wow.
am a mom. So I have to have a hard break at 6:30 Pacific time to get my daughter up, breakfast, ready to school, and then I come back. So when you have to take out an hour and a half of morning time, it's
Hmm.
easier actually for me just to wake up because I like waking up early anyway and seeing people in the morning because then I'm up, I'm already fresh for the day. My daughter gets up and it's easier to navigate her.
Hmm.
So yeah, this program I don't have to wake up so early. I'm only waking up in the 4 o'clock hour, so it's nicer for me. It's like sleeping in.
Only the 4 o'clock hour. I'm like lately I've been like the 10 o'clock person. Though I don't go to bed until like sometimes 1 or 2. So 10 o'clock is about right for my 8 hours. But still, like sometimes I don't even go to bed till 4 a.m. So I've been trying to get out of that. I haven't actually done any of those super late nights for a
Mhm.
while. 1 o'clock has been the latest that I have stayed up in probably the past month and a half since the last time I talked to you. I think the last time
Okay.
I talked to you, like maybe a couple days before that, I did one of my 3:30, 4 a.m. things, but I haven't since. So I think and I've been moving back that going to bed time too,
Well, it
trying
helps
to,
if you do it about every half hour. Because my husband used to be a late nighter from when he used to work at his prior job. So that was kind of what we did with him, and I had to do with my daughter because she was a night owl as well. So it was like, all right, let's just half an hour. That's it. And we get used to that half an hour for a while. Then it's like, all right,
hmm
let's take it up a notch. Let's do it another half hour.
hmm
Then we get used to it. When you do it slowly like that, I think it just naturally sticks better than if
hmm
you try to say, okay, I'm going to go from going to bed at 1 a.m. to 10. I mean, that's too big
yeah.
of a jump.
Then you just lay there. You just lay there and you read or whatever because you're like, okay, because your body is
Yeah,
still going. It's too early for me to go to bed. Yeah, I get a
absolutely.
lot of that. But I think trying to kind of get my respiratory system back in check after having several attacks on it from the outside world, I think going to bed earlier and getting some more extra sleep has really been really a key point in helping me kind of get past that stuff. Um,
Absolutely, but Rome's not built in a day. So
it's
so
true.
don't
It's true.
don't try to jump and leaps and bounds. Just, a little bit every day. I mean, it's no different than helping people achieve better health. You
Hmm.
know, if you can only give up meat or dairy, Dr. McDougall used to say, well, then give up dairy first because that's worse for you,
Hmm.
and get used to that. We would have people come
Right.
through our programs that would literally say, I'm going to change my diet. I'm not going to drink and I'm not going to smoke cigarettes. And Dr.
Yeah.
McDougall would say, that's so ambitious. Let's start with diet. And then let's tackle other things because change is very difficult and it takes time to instill a good habit and get rid of a bad habit.
Hmm.
So just being open to that.
Yeah. Looks like we have a question for you from TS. TS
ITS.
says, any suggestions to respond to my doctor when they say I need to take calcium supplements for diagnosed osteopenia? Not sure of the spelling.
Osteopenia, yeah, that's like the right before the osteoporosis. Actually, there are some great articles on our website, drmcdougall.com, or you could always go into your internet search engine and type in Dr. McDougall, osteopenia or osteoporosis. But really, what helps for bone strength more than anything is weight bearing exercise.
Mm.
So, when talking to a doctor, some doctors you can speak to, they're real people.
Mhm.
Um, Other doctors, they're in their own world of doctorum. So
Mhm.
if you have a doctorum doctor, then I like to play like I'm just an idiot a little bit. Instead of coming at them with an authoritative voice, I drop it down a few notches and I go, wow, calcium supplements. I heard about that, but I was reading an article and I can't remember if it was in JAMA or I like literally I would just throw out a few different medical articles or exercise medical articles and say, I think I read an article somewhere that said weight bearing exercise is supposed to be one of the best ways to, actually help with the osteopenia and the osteoporosis. What are your thoughts about that? Like turn the question back on them. Or you can just, smile and go, oh, okay, well, thanks. I'll look into it. And if they look at you a little weird, they don't know you personally. You can always say, I have a really good friend, or, oh, my aunt's a doctor. I'll definitely bring it up with her and see what her thoughts are. So, not that you have to agree with them in their office, but you're being able to not pick a fight, keep everything nice and civil, but just letting them know that, you're a little more vested in your health, because you have to remember everybody that is on your show, Cheryl, people are more invested in their health. They're more health
Right.
conscious. There's a huge population out there that is not. So that's what you have to remember with your doctor, is they're used to people that don't care about what they eat, and they'd rather take a pill because it's easier to take a pill than to actually physically get up and move, than to do something healthy for themselves. So, coming from that perspective, you're just kind of giving the doctor some grace and being able to say, okay, thank you. I mean, my doctors, they know who I work for, whether it's my daughter's pediatrician or, my own private, personal care physician. We talk very straightforward, you know. And it's great because, we actually throw medical articles at each other, or I get out my phone and I'm like, wait, let me send this to you real quick. You read it, or you read these books and then you get back to me and we'll discuss it further. So because I let them know, I want you to read what I've read, so that if what I've read and the resources to that article or books have been disproven, then you can come to the table and tell me, hey, look, like, you should know this has been disproven by this person. Here's the new research.
Yeah.
So it's just being an informed consumer. It's no different whether it's your health or you're buying the latest and greatest TV out there. You
Right.
just want to get the best bang for your buck and make sure that it's not going to die in the first 6 months to year.
Right, exactly. And, I have a heart guy that I see because there's a hereditary issue that I keep track of. And
Right.
every time I've gone in there, since the first time I saw him, I think was 2018. And that's when I was pretty close to 300 pounds. And every time that I go in there, I've lost a little weight. And, so after several times, he he finally just said to me, 95% of the people that I see, all they want me to do is prescribe them something so that they can just go on about their business and continue their life as it is and hope that they don't die. He said, you are the kind of patient that I love, because every time you come in here, you've done something to make your situation better and you keep working on it. And he said, I don't care how you're doing it, because you're having success and whatever you are doing is working. And so if it's eating vegan that is helping you get this success, he said,
Right.
I am all for it. I stand behind you 100%. And I think most doctors are so used to seeing the 95% that don't care. They just like, give me a pill, give me a shot, give me whatever, so I can just continue on the way that I'm going and have some protection. And
Exactly.
so I think if you talk to your doctor and your doctor understands that you have a dog in this fight, right? That you
Yeah.
care about it, that you want to make changes, that you want to do the right thing for your situation. I think a lot of times that changes the conversation they have with you. So it might be just, have that conversation with them and say,
Yeah.
I'm an informed person. And
Exactly. But remember, most doctors you go to, if you're going to their office, unless they are in absolute private practice and they run everything themselves, they are affiliated with a health group and they're on time. It's no different than working in law, your billable hour.
yeah,
Every hour is a billable hour, and they don't always have time to
exactly.
talk to people about it or to even bring it up, because unless they have something already printed out, it's
Hmm.
very difficult. It's some doctors have something here, read about it, but there's also a lot of doctors, especially I would say some of the older ones, where lifestyle medicine wasn't a part of mainstream.
Hmm.
So you get a lot of the younger doctors that are getting a glimpse into it, but
Hmm.
pending on their training, they might be very well versed, or literally they've just skimmed the top and they don't even know much themselves.
Right.
So, it's always nice to ask your doctor, well, what do you know about lifestyle medicine?
Hmm. Yeah.
Anything, you know? Um, if they say nothing, or if they say, oh, I'm not into it, then ask, well, why? I mean, because unless you ask your doctor questions, they're not going to really pause and ponder from their day in, day out of how they do their job, and it's kind of like patients that come through our program. Some it sticks immediately, others it takes a lot of years of working on it.
Hmm.
Some people say, hey, it's not for me, and then 5 years from now something happens to a family member or to them, and they're in it 100% immediately.
Yeah.
So you never know what kind of conversations that you have with other people, if you keep it nice and light.
Hmm.
I'm never into the browbeating of, oh, well, you should know this, you're a doctor. Because if you do that, something's going to turn off in their brain. And every time that they hear lifestyle medicine, it's going to be like a Pavlov's dog, in a negative reinforcement way
Right.
instead of it being positive.
Right. And TS said that it would be nice to actually have a conversation with my doctor. It's usually a 5-minute visit. Just started strength training. Thank you. So, TS, it sounds like you're going in the right direction, and that sounds fantastic. Tanya says that my doctor is not plant based, but he sees how well I'm doing and says keep it up. Says I'm a poster girl for why to go vegan. He's very supportive, and that's how our doctor is too. Our doctor's not plant based, but she is very supportive of what works for you. If she sees it's working in the numbers that she sees, she's all for
Mhm.
it. That's all she cares. She doesn't care how you got there. If
Right.
if everything looks good, if the numbers look good, if you look healthy, she's like, keep on, keep on. How can I support you with this? And she will actually say the words, "How can I support you in this?" and
That's
and that
beautiful.
that's really, to us, that was the moment when we said, this is our doctor. Like, we're
Yeah,
going to
that's
keep this one,
fantastic.
Yeah.
And Dr.
We
McDougall always, when you're looking for a doctor, he doesn't need to eat exactly how you eat at all. What you do need is a doctor that cares about your well being and
Mm-hmm.
wants you to be healthy.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. When he would always make the joke, when you're looking for a plastic surgeon, you shouldn't be asking, hey, uh, are you vegan? Do you smoke? Like, no, what you want is an absolute artist that will
Right.
make you look absolutely amazing. That's what you want.
Absolutely.
And my doctor, I mean, he is knowledgeable about lifestyle medicine. Is he healthier than most doctors? Yeah, probably. But I don't ask him about what does you eat, or what do you eat, or what you bring for lunch. Like, I don't care. If
Right.
I'm actually at the doctor, it's because, oh, okay, I want to see what my labs look like lately, and all right, great. And we have our discussions. He brings up things that he needs to, because it's part of the medical group. I answer how I answer, and he notes it in the chart so he doesn't get in trouble. And we part ways, and I see him in a couple of years.
Right.
Right.
And Tanya says, my doctor is private practice, and I've seen him for 29 years. He's really nice and doesn't pretend to know it all. He asks for my opinion and what I prefer. And
Beautiful.
perfect. You've got the best doctor. Keep him.
Tanya, when
Uh,
he's going to retire, you need to make sure that he gets somebody just like him. That's
mhm,
you should let him know that because eventually doctors do retire unless
mhm,
they're a workaholic and then they work until they actually cannot work anymore. But that's the type of doctor you want to have your
mhm.
care with.
Yep.
I had two doctors growing up that I adored. The first one was Dr. Palm, and she was old when I was a kid, and she went to medical school when women did not go to medical school. And her practice was set up, it was in a house.
Oh, wow.
So the living room with the fireplace was your waiting room. The different bedrooms were the actual visitation rooms for the patients. And then she had her kitchen, which she turned into an absolute laboratory. So she would actually draw your blood and then give you a sucker because you're screaming and crying as a kid. And she would have my parent bring me in, and this is what really got me actually into biology and chemistry as a kid. She was like, "All right, let's look at your blood under the microscope."
Yeah.
I mean, most doctors don't do that.
I think
It's
that's
an
a great
amazing.
way to bring a kid into like getting used to stuff. Much better than them chasing me around the office with a needle trying to poke me in the butt and me just running around like
Exactly.
a crazy person.
You're right. And I have a microscope at home for my daughter. So I knew the first time that when she was a baby, shots didn't phase her. But when I knew that she was going to understand the process of shots, I
Hmm.
just told her, hey, look, it seems scary, but if you don't tense up and you could just like close your eyes or just do some deep breathing or don't watch them do it, it's like that and you won't feel it. But if you tense up, it's going to be a painful experience. And
Yeah.
my kid to this day can't wait to get her next set of vaccinations. But to
You've
come
trained that one
back,
up right.
right? I know. But my second doctor, when Dr. Palm died, ended up retiring. And he was an amazing doctor. If you had otitis media, he would draw you the ear and the ear canal and really get into like what happened and then go through and say, hey, here's some antibiotics I could choose for it. This is the one I'm choosing for you, and this is why. And we became very good friends. So when I was 18, we'd go skydive together, or, go on his glider. But he retired, and I remember asking him, why are you doing that? You're a great doctor. And he said, when a man walks into my office and he's depressed, I can tell him, you know what I would really like you to do, you really need to get exercise into your life. You really need to be outside, go for a walk, go for a hike. He was like, if a woman comes into my office and I don't grab my prescription pad to write her a prescription for an antidepressant, then I run the risk of her making a complaint to, the head of the medical group. And he was like, where where did it happen that I went to school to become a medical doctor, that I know all of this really great information, but I have a patient that walks in and demands a drug that they have absolutely no idea how it's going to affect them, if it's going to
Hmm.
counteract with any of the drugs that they are in, and they're telling me how to do my job. And that is why he retired. So that's why I always think of that and think, if you have a good doctor, and a good doctor to me is somebody that cares.
Hmm.
Really, they really care. They don't need to know everything. Not
Yeah.
everybody knows everything. Okay. So, but you want somebody that it's at least open minded, where you say, hey, you know what? I learned about this. I read some stuff about it. I've changed a few things, and it's obviously it seems to be working. You do you want to know more about it? Because some doctors, they'll be able to gauge their patients. Hey, can I even open my mouth about this, or should I not? But if they
Hmm.
don't even know of the possibility, then it kind of closes them off to helping their patients.
Yeah. Betsy made the comment, and this kind of falls in with that. She said the fellow who is working with my endocrinologist was really interested in my whole food plant based way of eating and asked a lot of questions. And that's fantastic. I love when I go someplace and somebody starts asking me questions. Um, when I had my stress test done last
Mm-hmm.
September, I was sitting in a room with like three older ladies, and they were somehow the topic came up that I ate vegan and whole food plant-based, and that I had lost a lot of weight. And they were just instantly all like, tell us more. As soon as you say the weight loss thing, then they're all like, and I said, well, I didn't really do it to lose weight. That was just the side effect of it. I did it so that I could protect my heart. I did it so that I could get healthier, because I was not feeling well, and I knew I needed to do something. And they just they started asking all the right questions. And I really would like to think that at least one of them went home and did a little bit more research, because I pointed every one of them at the Starch solution. So I'm really hoping that at least one of them went home and actually went online and looked it up, because they were all genuinely interested in asking the right questions. So it was really nice to see people taking that time. But I'm also sitting in a room with people who have had triple bypasses and stents, and they're coming in for follow-up stuff. And like, at this point, they're like, you know what? I wish I would have known this before. So
Yeah, absolutely.
let's see. And Kitty Mommy was saying that, oh my goodness, when I was a child, I went to a doctor with the exact same setup. Your comment really takes me back. So yeah, I love, when I was a kid, like I guess I was in the 6th grade when I got my first microscope.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just completely like, you couldn't take that thing away from me for like months on end. Like, I would go to the pond. You know how they gave you those little like glass slides in the kit, And and they had a little bottle with a dropper and stuff. And I would go to this pond in the woods, and then I would get water and put it in the little bottle, and I would come home, and then I would drop it on there, and I'd watch all the like stuff moving around in the water on there. And it just like, it intrigued me. And I often wonder now, like, how I am now. I might have went, oh my God, I'm never drinking water again. But I mean, like, then I was just like absolutely amazed that everything that I put in my dropper and put on there had life in it.
Yes.
I mean,
I do that with my
dirt
daughter.
and water, and it's just like everything had life in it of some kind. And it always amazed me, like, how there's life in everything. So
Yeah, that is a big thing of what we do during the summer months. Is okay, what do you want to look at today? Like, I have a ton of slides that I had bought for things that I can't get around here. But,
right,
we'll cut leaves and then put salt water in there. And then we talk about the process of osmosis, or I'll prick my own finger. She says she wants to prick my finger. And I'm like, yeah, no. I'll do it. But, and then we see blood, and we talk about, red blood cells. So it really opens her up to having fun and learning at the same time. So, I mean, back when she was in preschool, everyday chemistry, everyday biology, when her apples and pears would brown, at first she never wanted to eat it. And I said, oh, that's oxidation. She's like, well, what is that? We get into that process. And then when her teachers say, I don't think your apples are good, she looks at them and goes, no, they're fine. It's just oxidation. But that's the fun thing about kids. And that's what I've always loved about kids, is that they're always open to learn. Those questions, why? Yeah, I answer those questions until I get to a point and I'm like, I don't know, write it down. We'll look it up later.
Yeah, it's like now you have the advantage of being able to say, go look that up on Google. Where
I don't do that.
Our parents didn't have that opportunity.
No, they don't. But what I'm trying to teach her is there's a lot of information on the internet, and not all of it is good.
Exactly.
So I don't have her go look up anything on Wikipedia. I'm like, let's go look up, what does the Encyclopedia Britannica say? So I'm also teaching her, making sure that your sources are reputable. Because I get it all the time when I'm seeing people telling me, oh my God, I think I have X through Z. And I'm like, well, why? Oh, well, I looked it up, and then I was reading, and it's like, okay, let's breathe. Let's bring it down a couple of notches, And my grandmother was a hypochondriac. So I remember my grandmother had everything.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that because it's like Kathy and I are both kind of researchers. Kathy's even more of a deeper researcher than I am. And
Mhm.
so kind of before we'll go see the doctor or something, if we feel like there's something going on we need to go to the doctor for, we'll kind of look up all the symptoms and stuff first. Not in a hypochondriac way or a trying to find something that we have that maybe we don't kind of way, but just what do these symptoms tend to lean towards? And,
Yeah.
and of course, we'll go to the doctor's office, and then the first thing out of our mouth is, well, we went on Google and it said, and then you can just see the look on like the nurses, and the nurses that are like, taking the check-in information, and they're just like, they're writing down, they Googled it. And the doctor's probably going, oh my God. But most of the time we're just like, no, we just, for our own satisfaction, you need to
Yeah.
tell us what we have. But we're
Absolutely.
just always honest about the fact that we do look stuff up, but we don't go down the rabbit hole with it, right? But we
Yeah.
do tend to look stuff up. But it's all about your sources too,
Always.
because there are some sources out there that just take you down a deep hole immediately. And like you said, if you're looking at the right sources, then you can feel a little bit more confident about those answers. Um,
Exactly.
and it's hard nowadays. There's just so much misinformation everywhere that sometimes it's really hard to kind of like determine what's real and what's not. But you have to use
Exactly.
good amount of common sense with some
Yes.
research sense, and then kind of make that be your path of things. Let's
Absolutely.
see.
As a parent of a 10-year-old who will tell me, hey, mommy, did you know? And then it's whatever it is. And I look and I go, whoa, wow, I've never heard of that in my life. Where did you hear it? YouTube. From who? Like, I mean, and so I've started, like, I'll write it down, and then like she'll get home from school and I'll say, well, I was thinking about what you said and it just seemed so unbelievable. And she was like, I know. And I said, oh my God, guess what? She's like, what? And I have to like laugh and go, it is unbelievable. It's not true. Here, but it's a process. I mean,
Yeah,
it's the telephone game, right? I mean, what one
it
person,
is.
and hey, and I love a good urban legend. I'm never gonna boo them, but yeah, no, there are some things out there that, at least it gives me some comic relief during my day, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. And your daughter just seems so like entertaining. Like
She is.
she's the kind of kid where if you went to a dinner party at your house, that I feel like I would sit in the corner having a conversation with your kid the entire night, because it would just be so
It's funny.
entertaining.
We have great friends, the Davids, and we went to a concert, and we took our daughter to this particular concert. And so she finally got to meet the Davids, because we always see each other at concerts and whatnot and text. And one of them is retired from the NASA. Like, this is a gentleman. I think it's NASA, but
Yeah.
uh, worked all over the world, speaks 12 languages. I mean, he is brilliant, and the other David's just as brilliant, in his way. And here she's talking to this gentleman, and he just looked at me. He said, your daughter can call me every day. She is fascinating to talk to, but she's just a sponge, and she has a lot of interest. And I think that
Yeah.
as a parent, I'm not trying to live my life through her. I'm just trying to, whatever she has an interest in, it's like, hey, let's check it out. And if you like it,
Yeah.
cool. If you don't, well, hey, at least you have a little bit of knowledge about it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And someday her vast amount of knowledge that she has absorbed from all these conversations will make her money in college when she's playing trivia and she needs a little extra spending money.
I haven't done a pub trivia in decades. God, that's
Oh,
dating. God, I love those.
I
No,
used
but
to I used to, but now I just like I listen to some of the questions and I go,
the secret is you it's not that everybody needs to be a rocket scientist. What you need is a group of people that have information and knowledge in
Yes.
completely different areas. So, like
Yeah.
in my I had my from college. It was my statistician professor. He's the one that actually got me into it. And then there was a nurse, and I was working in pharmacy and in the wine industry at the time. And then we had his daughter, which was into all the younger stuff, and we all like different genres of music. I mean,
Hmm.
literally, it was like the dream team. It was fantastic.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's really like that's the whole trick is like the team that you put together and that stuff. So, oh,
Absolutely.
takes me back, takes me back.
Yes, that's kind of a funny. Did you read what she said?
Oh, the
I
first
think
look
I
on a
hope it's really
microscope.
funny. Yeah.
The first look on a microscope let me know I have eye floaters. I was 7 and couldn't tell the difference between them and the microbes. Oh my goodness.
Oh, I love it. Oh, and hi,
But
Jackie.
hey, everybody. If we haven't said hi to everybody, it's just because we're having this great conversation. Um,
Chime in.
also,
Type in your
yeah,
questions.
just
You
chime
know,
in.
or
Let
if
us know
there's
your
a topic you want to talk about.
yeah. Just
It's
chime in and let us
Thrilling
know.
Tuesday.
It is. It's my birthday. Ask anything you want.
Yes.
Uh, you know, I think too. Speaking to all the grandparents that might be on here, if you have grandkids that are, somewhere in that I don't know 8 to 14 range, I guess. If they don't have a microscope and they have an interest in sciencey stuff, this could be like one of the greatest presents that you ever give them because I mean, the day I got that, I actually got it on my birthday and from my grandparents, and I just remember like I had all these presents and I opened that one first, and I could give a rat's butt what was in anything else because all I wanted to do was get to that thing. You know, it was
Yep.
like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. It was
What else
fantastic.
can we do? Yeah. Yeah. I had a microscope. I didn't have a telescope. We have a telescope. I am very blessed. There's this really great person. I haven't talked to him in, in a while, who worked for NASA.
Mhm.
And when I was going to get a telescope for the family, I had to send him a text and say, "What do I get? I don't know." And he gave me a recommendation for a great one that didn't break the bank and whatnot. I am not, though, a technical engineer by any means. I could build stuff, but to this day, I have to call friends up and we're going to bring it outside during the summer months to say, yeah, how do we set this up again? Just, I need the reminder. I read the instruction manual and I'm there going, it can't be this hard.
I
It's
always
right.
look at them. I always look at them. I'm always like, this is the year that I'm going to get a telescope. I've never actually had my own telescope. I've looked at other people's telescopes. I thought, this is cool. I want one. And every year I'm like, this is the year I'm going to get a telescope. And then I go out onto the deck and I stand there and I look up into the sky and all I see is trees. And I go, not the year to get a telescope. So
No, but
it's like,
there are lots of apps. So I'm going on my phone right now. I have my whole stars. There is Star Walk and Sky Guide. And
oh,
you could
nice.
pay for the upgrades or you don't have to, but literally like you just turn it on and put your phone up and it'll tell you what
Oh, wow.
constellations right in front of you. Oh, it's
Oh, that
fantastic.
might be something really good to use while we're cruising too. That we can cut because it's
Just
always so
don't
clear out
drive and
there.
try to do it at the same
Right?
time. Have the other person not driving do it, right? Oh my God, look!
It's like me going down the road with the camera out the window, right? Trying to record the road. So it's not a good idea. I now have a suction cuppy. So
Unless you want a brand new phone and you have to go through a discussion process, drop in your phone while driving. The discussion's really over. Just, but go back and get your phone so somebody else doesn't have all your contacts, right?
exactly, exactly.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Now, are you guys having fun yet? I'm having
Oh
fun. It's
God, I'm
Cheryl's
having a lot of
birthday.
fun.
Woo!
I'm having big fun. I didn't
Good.
think I was going to have fun today. I actually was like, oh, we've got a lot of lives to do, and I got to go get my hair cut today, and blah, blah, blah. But then I got up early. I actually woke up before my alarm. I got up and I went, I want a birthday coffee. So
And so what kind of birthday coffee did you get?
we went to a little local place in Carborough, and I actually got a cold brew coffee with oat milk and lavender syrup.
Wow, you are a fancy coffee drinker.
I don't usually go the lavender route, but Kathy got the lavender, and I thought, that sounds interesting to me because usually I go mocha all the way, right? And so I was like, lavender. And then the girl at the counter was like, want to try it? And I was like, yes, I do. I'm going to get one too. So
You know,
I got
that
one,
is
and
actually a brilliant idea.
it's
Get
really, really good.
absolutely high off the caffeine, but be mellow and relax with lavender. I think it's great. How are you feeling?
I think it's fantastic, and it's actually kind of because, like, driving over there, I was like, I'm so sleepy. I wish I would have just stayed in bed a couple extra hours, but a couple extra hours in a cup. So it's, I haven't had caffeine in probably a month ish.
Nice. Yeah.
So yeah, this is like full blown caffeine. I'm gonna be going blah 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 blah. Kathy's
When
gonna
I worked
hide
at the
from me.
hospital, yeah, I remember if I would come in, if I was going to be a few minutes late, I would call my boss and say, I will go. There was this really great coffee shop that is no longer there, but man, you want to talk about charged turbo. And I'd say, I'm running a little bit late. Would anybody like coffee? Because that was fine. Everybody was fine with that. So I'd get everybody coffee. It only took twice. And finally, everybody said, yeah, you can't get the big cup anymore. You can get the little cup because I'm already a talker. I know I don't always talk all the time. You know, I always like to listen to you and Kathy, but I can be a talker. And not only that, my brothers and I, we can all talk without breathing, or it seems like we're not breathing. We can all talk to each other at the exact same time, know exactly what's going on in each conversation, and bounce back and forth with, oh, yeah, like I'll go to my younger brother and then my older brother, and we're talking totally about different things. And literally, yes, I have that gift to some, not a gift. To others, you would say. So
You would
yes,
fit in perfectly on my dad's side of the family because when all the cousins get together, we're all just blah 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 blah, and everybody's having this different conversation. Yet we're all having a conversation together,
yeah.
and we all haven't seen each other in a really really long time. But you would think we just saw each other last week. Like it's
Yeah.
just it's a family thing. I think.
It is. And you know what, for me, what I love is when it's also different languages. Absolutely. It's like, even if I don't remember it verbatim from being a kid growing up with it, or, I studied it or whatnot, I literally can go in and out. Absolutely. But sometimes they get you in trouble. Like I remember I was having a conversation. I was in English and German, and I was saying goodbye to my German friends and whatnot. And then my friends that spoke English, they were like, well, what did you say? And I said, oh, I told them to have a great fart. And they looked at me and they're like, what? And I was like, oh, sorry. Fahren in German means to travel. So I was telling them, I hope that they have a great travel. Yeah. So sometimes, you have to like pull back before, keep
Yeah.
going with the different languages.
So we got a couple questions that have come in.
Yay.
TS says, do you have suggestions for additions to grits when my family wants to have butter and creamer? I just add salsa to my grits and their stares are amazing. Lots of laughs. I
know.
love salsa
I
on anything.
love me some grits. Not too soggy, not too hard.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yes. No. What you want to do, I mean, I'm just going to be honest. if I'm making something, like if I'm having people come over, like I do a strawberry beet salad over arugula. I will candy walnuts for it. I hit it with champagne vinegar. But for those people that I know that have dairy in their lives, I will actually buy a little bit of goat cheese for them if they want to sprinkle a little on top. I'm not about starting World War III in my house over food.
Hmm.
I figure my closest friends know who I work for, but my acquaintances and everybody else, they do not. I don't get into it. I'm not the food police. So it's hard when it's your family because you want them to be healthier. But if you force it upon them, it has more of a negative connotation where they're not, going to be as welcoming. So Mary McDougall on the drmcdougall.com website, if you go to the recipe, she has a corn butter recipe.
Hmm.
Now, it depends on who you are, to be honest with you. Some people love it. Some people are like, it ain't that bad. And other people, no, it's not for them. Because you have to remember, what is butter? Butter is fat and salt. Now,
Hmm.
what you can do, like when I go to a restaurant and if they have beautifully homemade sourdough bread, I don't go for butter. I go actually for a hint of salt and cracked black pepper. So you can mimic the salt part easy. Now, as for the creamer, that's going to be a hard one because, if you're going the no oil route, most creamers that are out there, even if they're vegan, have a lot of oil in them.
Hmm.
What you could try to do is maybe try an oat milk without an oil. And I say oat milk only because it's usually a little denser, or like a soy milk that's a denser one, like Eden. Eden has kind of, I would call it a richer one. I don't know if Vitasoy's out. I haven't seen them in a while, but I
I
think
haven't
they
either.
had one too. But you want to kind of like see what you could get away with. So I would probably do like a plant milk a little bit, maybe hint it with some salt, see what they have to say. Or just not have, the whole discussion. But yeah, you know what? Salsa de grits are amazing. Try it with enchilada sauce. I'm telling you. My daughter made, I was telling Cheryl before we got on, uh, I had a night off of cooking last night. I had already made dinner, but it's basically for me not to have to cook tonight. And she made mashed potatoes. And the way we make them is we boil the potatoes in the starchy water. And then I had to show my husband, you get the big bowl and then you put the strainer in there because I want to keep the starchy water to add back in as needed. And then he mashes them and then I get a hand mixer. Like I like my babies whipped, no lumps at all. So my daughter was doing the mashing in the whipping and is absolutely impressed with herself, as she should be, because those peaks were beautiful. She would actually say, "Well, take a bite. Think of the texture's perfect, but we need to add something with it." But enchilada sauce with mashed potatoes, oh my God, it is absolutely amazing. You could make like little potato enchiladas that way, add in some corn if you want. Yeah, I'm a big fan.
What we
But
do.
whatever else, in the end, what I do, just to kind of wrap that question up, I have a plethora of vinegars. I have a plethora of salsas. I have a plethora of sauces at all times, or I'll whip them up like that. And what I do is I like to play with flavors. Like I have different mustards. Some mustards I like when I make my Italian vinaigrette. Other mustards I prefer if I'm going to have it with potatoes or Brussels sprouts. So I really do like kind of hone in on, well, what flavors do I like paired best? And you'd be amazed that you would think, oh yeah, a few mustards, do you really need them? In my life, yes. Boar's head, not their meats, they have a delicatessen mustard. It
Yeah.
is absolutely amazing. Grey Poupon, I prefer their country Dijon. A good German mustard. I mean, bring it on.
Yeah. Have you ever had
Yeah,
lusty
so whatever.
monks?
I'm always about like with grits. I haven't made grits in a while, but I probably would be there going, wonder what grits taste like with marinara sauce. If I had marinara sauce already made, what do they taste like with balsamic vinegar? What would they taste like with like Italian herb seasoning? Let me hit it with a little bit of curry and turmeric.
Well, I
Yeah,
think,
I mean, really.
with grits, if you put it with marinara sauce, it's just going to be the same as if you had like crispy polenta and marinara sauce. Like
Yeah,
it's the
absolutely.
same kind of thing. And one of the ways that we make grits here is we make them in the microwave, and
Mm,
then Kathy adds a little bit of liquid smoke and
yeah,
nutritional yeast, and it gives
yeah.
them that smoky, cheesy kind of flavor. And oh, they are so delicious. And I would venture to say that you might even be able to get some meat eaters to venture into the liquid smoke nutritional yeast variety, because they're going to have
Mm,
that smoky profile is going to kind of overcome it. Anything with a smoky profile is delicious as far as I'm concerned.
right.
So we have another question that Mary has. Also, a
Hi,
couple
Mary.
people have the question of: have you found that the Dr. McDougall program improves or reverses osteoarthritis of the knees?
Yes. And you can either go to our website, drmcdougall.com. You could, look it up with the medical articles. If it's easier for you, you could turn around and just go to your favorite internet search engine and type in Dr. McDougall osteoarthritis. All of our arthritis patients do phenomenally well. They really do. And I always give my arthritis patients different links to numerous articles so they can read up on it. What I find is, it's kind of like with rheumatoid arthritis. If you came to us with rheumatoid arthritis and you already had structural damage, let's say to your hands, as some people do, that's not going to reverse it. But what it will do is stop the progression of the arthritis, and you will continue to get better. Now, some people, they just switch over to a starch-based diet with fruits and vegetables, no oil, and the no oil is really important. Dairy and oil really do wreak havoc on the arthritis. And when you take all of that out, most of the time they're great, but sometimes some of these patients needed to take a step further and go also the no gluten route. But I like to start off slow with people. Let's not change everything at once, because then you don't know what really works and what doesn't really work. So definitely, Mary, please go search out, read some articles, and you can always make a consultation appointment with Dr. Lim on our website, and you could join us for our next 12-day program. We'd love to have you. Are you there, Cheryl? I don't know.
I muted
There you are.
myself, and I couldn't
Okay.
unmute myself. I went to go get
Oh
some more
no.
water while you were talking, and then I muted
I
myself so you
muted
wouldn't hear
and
the
I can't
water.
unmute. I love it.
Let's see. And TS says, "Thank you. I think I will offer them. I offer different options like oat milk creamer. They just want a certain taste, and it's their choice. And yes, salsa is on everything." All right, we have another
Absolutely.
question from Video 1000 Nights. What is the best thing to do if you eat something salty, then want to keep eating more foods? Greens, other ideas, and is it better to skip breakfast for time restricted eating or eat it?
So many questions, good questions. Thank you for asking. Number one rule: eat when you're hungry, stop when you're satiated, repeat as necessary. Even if you eat a very strict starch based diet with fruits and vegetables, no oil, people can maintain, which is if great if you're a maintenance land, but you could maintain or you could gain weight if you're eating more food than what you really need. So something that's salty, if you're excited about it, that is going to promote you possibly to eat more. So it's not that you can't have anything salty, but you really want to just check in with yourself internally. Hey, am I still hungry? If you're not sure, drink some water or make yourself some tea, because then you're still doing a hand to mouth thing, but you're not putting in more food than what you need in your body to kind of help you out. Or just get out of the kitchen, go knit, go color, go garden, go do whatever it is you do. What's that old line? You have very politically incorrect movie, Mel Brooks. Blazing Saddles, go do the
Oh,
voodoo they do.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that line. I love that line. But that, really, I mean, because you really want to ask yourself, because, and think of it in this realm. And let's not think of it with like a vegan slant, just like in general slant, okay? If you walked into a movie theater, what do most people do? They get popcorn and whatever it is that they drink. And then they sit down and they're waiting for the movie and they're talking and they're eating and they're eating and it's salty. I remember as a kid, okay, I haven't been to the movies in decades either. I watch them at home, unfortunately. But I remember butter and salt. My
Hmm.
goodness. And man, you're eating and you're talking and you're excited because Star Wars is about to come on. And before you know it, we're not even at the opening credits and it's gone.
It's
It's gone.
gone, and you're going back for more.
Where they go? Who's getting the popcorn? Rock, paper, scissors for it. But that's the reality. So, that's why I always tell my patients do not eat when you're sitting watching TV or you're in front of your computer or you're reading a book because you're not into whether you're hungry or not. You're not. You're into whatever else it is that you're into. And let's see, I want to go through let's see. Is it better to skip breakfast for time restricted eating or eat it? Again, and I'm very serious about this. Eat when you're hungry, stop when you're satiated, repeat as necessary. If I wake up at 2 a.m., I am not eating at 2 a.m. because I'm not hungry that early. And it depends on the day. How did I go for a walk? Did I not? Am I working straight through? I mean, I do have the pleasure of working at home. However, I don't eat in front of my computer. Like next to me, I have water and I have tea. And that's what I have. I'll check in with myself. I checked in with myself before I, got on with Cheryl today. Am I hungry? And at first I was like, oh, maybe I should eat something. And then I realized, yeah, no, you're not really hungry. Check in after. With
Yeah.
water and tea, I'm not going to faint. I'm good. So really, that's what I think about it. Now, if you're in a rush and it's time restricted, what I do think you should do is take food with you. Be your own parent and make sure that you have food with you at all times. Because
Hmm.
my husband tells me this, I don't agree, but he tells me this, and then my daughter chimes in and goes, "Yep, mommy, he's right. Daddy is right." Apparently, I can get hangry if I'm hungry, and I know, right? Where did my
I know
daughter
I
get it
can.
from?
Kathy
It's
gets
me.
real hangry, so we have to keep some
Oh
of those
yeah,
little. I don't even know if we have any around right now, but they're those sweet potato sticks that you get at Costco. Have you seen them?
I
They're
have
like
not.
sweet potato. People either love them or hate them. She loves them, and they're like made out of pure sweet potato. I call them sweet potato jerky, and they're in a little bag in a little pouch, in individual servings. And
Yeah.
she just keeps a couple like in the car, in her pocketbook, if we're traveling in the backpack. So if she starts to get that hangry thing going on, she just rips one open and starts eating sweet potatoes. So it works for her.
Yeah, no, and so for me, because I have a kid, and I'm more into it. But like if I have soup already made, I'll heat it up in the microwave super quick or on the stovetop,
Mm-hmm.
and I throw it in the thermos. So I know that hey, I can always have soup if I don't already have potatoes ready to kind of heat up and
Mm-hmm.
go with me. What else? Apples and carrots, I like the best out of any fruit and vegetable because to me it's a heartier fruit and vegetable.
Yeah.
It will make mommy not rhyme with the word itch so that we can have time. She's not cussing. She tells me I did not say a swear word. You did not, honey. That's brain power, and that's why my kid just got highest honors at school. So grade A students, we know, we know how to get around those rules a little bit, but it's true. And sometimes you just need something enough to get you either back home or where you're going. And that's
Exactly.
really important because if you go to the store and you're hungry or you didn't think you were hungry and all of a sudden you smell something and you're like, oh my God, I am hungry. That is almost like the worst thing you could do to yourself. Don't do that to yourself.
Yeah.
And I've actually done it where I've gone over to produce, weighed something, and talk to like my produce people and say, hey, look, can you go in the back and rinse this for me? And I've weighed it. And can you give me a little sticker or write something up so I'm not stealing? I'll pay for it, but I need to eat it right now. Or you get those containers where they already have the fruit cut up. Yes, it's really expensive, but guess what? Sometimes eating that will save you from whatever else. And I've been eating this way a long time. So I really can go up and down aisles and say, suck it up and deal with it till you get home. I have that mentality. My daughter doesn't. And again, I might be rhyming with that word itch. So, I don't want to exuberate that while I'm in public either.
Well, I
So
know with
I hope
us,
that helped you. But yeah, but always bring something with you, because just because you wake up and it's morning, don't go by the paradigm of breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's an American
right?
paradigm. Go by, hey,
Exactly.
am I hungry? Not hungry right now? Well, guess what? 9 times out of 10, I will bet you $500,000, and I only bet when I know I'm going to win. You will get hungry later. So just have food with you, because
Yeah.
when hunger strikes, whenever it may be, you don't have to worry. It's like, oh, I got this right here. Good to go. Or you at least have something where then you can not unravel, but actually think logically, all right, what am I going to do? Am I going to Wendy's and getting some baked potatoes? Is there a Wendy's around? Okay, well, is there a steakhouse open right now at this hour? Even the only thing I've ever had in my life at Panda Express is their steamed white rice, because it's the only thing you can have if you follow a
Exactly.
starch-based diet with fruits and vegetables and no oil. But you can do things like that, but you don't want to get caught where you're on, the 45-minute mark of a 3-hour errand run. Don't do
Hmm.
that to yourself.
Yeah, we've done that too
And
many times. And, that's why there's also the emergency date that stays in the car. It's a little Ziploc bag with two dates in it. It's the absolute emergency food for Kathy if she goes, oh my gosh, I'm getting nauseous. I need to eat right now. And it hits her and I think it's her thyroid thing that it out of nowhere. Like she'll be fine, she'll be fine, she'll be fine. We'll be like 30 minutes ready, headed towards the house, and all of a sudden she'll be like, I have to eat right now. And that
mhm,
happened to us enough times that now the two dates stay in the car, the sweet potato sticks stay in the car.
yeah,
Um, I get
but
hangry,
that's
but I also handle it a little bit differently than she does. So um, I usually they have these little packets, and I know nuts and seeds and stuff aren't the best thing for me to have, being still trying to release weight. However, a little small packet of those nuts and seeds with the cranberries and stuff in them, the like little trail mix thing, a little packet of that can get me another hour or two with just that little pack. So like that's what I keep for emergencies for me, because I don't really have to have them that often, but if we're on the road and we're traveling and I'm like, we know that there's a place that we're going to stop to eat in an hour and a half, and I'm going, oh god, I don't want to go through a drive-through and get french fries or something like that. I just want to
right.
open up that little pack because I know it's going to get me through to the next
Yeah, and
stage.
that's why I like apples and carrots, because that
Hmm.
will literally get me. It's like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm
I love
happy.
carrots. Carrots are easy to eat in the car. Apples are easy to eat in the car.
Especially
If
if you
you're
cut them ahead of time. If you like,
Yes.
I don't like the skins on carrots. I just don't. And my daughter doesn't, she'll eat the skin of an apple, but she definitely eats apples if I cut them up for her.
Hmm.
And that's kind of a standard lunch. It's either pear or apple, because it travels well and stays well for, a 7.5 hour day at school. And that's but I'll do that. Like I'll peel carrots real quick and, cut off the ends and throw them in a bag. And it's good because then it's hand food. That's what I like about baked potatoes. When I used to commute a lot, I would have potatoes with me. And then what I would do is I had little containers that my one passenger side seat was set up very specifically, especially if I had to do a very quick stop because somebody else stopped, being in rush hour traffic. and sitting in traffic forever that I don't want all of my condiments to destroy the innards of my car. So, and then I would have different ones. Like maybe I want salt and pepper. So I had a salt and pepper one, or I wanted some salsa. You know, I had it basically, I could hold my potato and I would have it in a container so that I could drop it at any time. But hey, if I'm stopped, bam. And then it's the funniest looks you get from people in traffic. Like they're used to seeing people with French fries and burritos and smoking and everything else. But you throw out a potato, it really, try it sometime.
Yeah.
If you
Oh,
commute and you can do that safely.
Kathy with the sweet potato with the napkin wrapped around the bottom, just like it's got to be hilarious if you're sitting at a red light next to that, right? Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, and yes, I agree. Grits are good with anything. And
Hmm.
red lentil, yellow lentil said I like Cajun seasoning. Grits,
Nice.
Cajun seasoning on anything is good. Let's be honest.
Exactly. Let's be honest about that. Yep. Yep.
And I'm glad
One,
to help, Elizabeth.
and one thing I wanted to add in for Video 1000 Nights is before I did the McDougall Starch solution, my old doctor did have me intermittent fasting. And so I was intermittent fasting with Ozempic. On top of all this, I had no clue when I was really hungry and when I wasn't.
Right.
One of the things that I stopped when I did the McDougall Starch solution was the intermittent fasting. And very quickly, after my system got to where I could recognize my hunger cues, I now realize now that, like Tiffany, I'll get up in the morning and I'll be like, yeah, I don't really need anything right now. I may
Yeah.
go, if I'm busy working or something, I may actually go 3-4 hours. It may be afternoon before I'm ready to eat something. And then I'll just go to the refrigerator, and usually we have stuff that we already have made so we can just pop it in the microwave, like dinner from last night, put in individual portions for lunch the next day, pop it in the microwave, eat that, and that's it. So some days I may get up and eat something right away. Like yesterday, I woke up, I was really hungry, and I ate something right away. But today, I wasn't really hungry. And so I didn't
Right.
just like get out of bed and eat something. Like I just kind of sit with it and see how it happens. And I find that most days
Yeah.
I eat later. I don't have
Yeah.
to have something right away. And that's just how my body works. So you kind of got to listen to it and learn how your body works. And it'll tell you, like clearly tell you when it's time for you to
Absolutely.
eat.
I know. I'm just looking at Video 1000 Nights. What's the real difference between success for 3 years and fall back versus 10 plus years? That is an individual like question. Like that would be something we would have to absolutely go back and forth and discuss, because let's see, I changed the way that I ate. I was early to going into mid 20s, and I'm 51. So I would say that I thought the hardest part was the initial change, because what I thought I was doing and what I actually was doing, that's the difference between the theoretical and practical knowledge. But when I decided, hey, for 6 months, no desserts, I'm just going to do a starch-based diet with fruits and vegetables and no oil and see where it takes me, not a problem. So when people do really well, I think it depends on what kind of person you are. Some people are like, wow, I just did everything. My numbers look great. I'm where I want to be weight wise. I'm done. And they move on. That I would say would be my top like 3 to 5% of people out of all of them, you know? And then everybody needs little tweaks and help. So when somebody says, you know, they fall back, well, what did you fall back on? Did all of a sudden dairy get back into your life? Or are you having fish 3 times in a year? Or is there the nuts and the seeds and the avocados now a daily and weekly thing where your weight's starting to go up? So because of that, that's a more private conversation. Now, if you went through our 12-day program, I would absolutely unpack that for you in such minute detail. You would be happy. And let's see. The first 3 years seemed easier than the last two, but I felt same and perfectly before and now. Well, I don't know. I mean, you know, so you have to also remember there are different triggers in people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like stress. You
Oh yeah.
know, you have a loved one die. You get a divorce. I trust me, lose your house in a fire. You'll see what that's like.
Lose your
But
job of 18 years.
exactly. But you learn something about yourself. I'm always about you have to learn something about yourself. Hey, I can live out of a hotel for 3 months straight and eat McDougall at every restaurant. Yeah, I have to kind of figure it out, but I could do it. I don't have to throw in the towel. But hey, when you walk into a restaurant, that's also a sodium bomb. And you also, technically, you have to know the owners. You have to be able to look through that kitchen. But the honest to God truth, as somebody that used to be a server back in the day, it is difficult for a regular kitchen to always do no oil, no butter. There's always going to be, like, even when I worked at a law firm, and I would have this one deli downtown make me dry hash browns. That was my standard order. I would call, say, hey, it's Tiffany. Didn't matter who answered the phone. How many hash browns do you want? And what time will you be here to pick them up? And the owners were they were Persian, absolutely beautiful people. And they told me, hey, look, we can't guarantee if this is an allergy because we use this griddle for everything. We can wipe it down and do our best. And hey, but that's what you get at a restaurant. Unless you know the people, there's always that, 1% margin of error, if you will. So, what I would ask is, hey, did you go through anything very stressful over the last couple of years? Because what happens is people usually will revert back to an old habit like that without thinking of it. I mean, by the time I had lost the house, I'd been eating this way for 20 years. So, it wasn't anything, huge. It's just, hey, this is what I do, and I got to figure it out. And I'm lucky where I live. I already know, like, the restaurants that if we're going to eat out, where we're eating out. And then ate the same in both time periods. Well, I mean, we age, we get older. I can't run a 7-minute mile. Sorry, I just can't do that anymore. I could. I mean, I could probably do it for 1 mile. I'll be puking my brains out at the end of it.
Right?
But right, but our bodies change. It's like when people talk about osteoporosis, as we were talking about osteopenia earlier. That test is based off of a 28-year-old Caucasian female. As a 28-year-old Caucasian female, you are in childbearing years. You have more bone. But as we age, do we need it? No. I don't really hear many stories of 55 and up having kids. I mean, I had mine 2 weeks after I turned 41, and I thought, like, everybody I talked to was going to have, like, a conniption over it. But I mean, I worked up until the morning I had my daughter. I had 6 hours of labor. Outside of maybe being something that rhymes with an itch, as my husband says once in a while. Oh, no. I don't remember it. I tell him I think it's pregnancy brain. He was like, that is the biggest fraud excuse in the world. And maybe it is, but I actually don't remember it. But outside of that, like, I had no problems. I still walked. I did yoga. I did whatever. So, did something change with your, body? I mean, are you, if you're a woman, are you jumping into perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause? Are you not, I mean, it's like, that's kind of a hard question to answer without knowing you better. So I do apologize. It's not probably the answer you want, but it's the best I can give you. Unless you sign up for a 12-day program, and then I can give you a very detailed, fantastic answer. And then I know that you also asked, does Dr. McDougall have any tweaks or extra tips for type 2 diabetics, pre-diabetics? Yes, I deal with diabetic patients all the time. But you need to be under medical supervision. So you would be an absolute outstanding candidate for our 12-day program, to be quite honest with you. You really would. But you can also
kind of sound like me before this Starch Solutions. So,
yeah,
a lot of those same kinds of questions. So I definitely got some great answers when I was going through the program. And I had to have that medical attention because of my diabetes situation. There was no way that I could not join the program because just going along with what Kathy was doing, I saw so much success so quickly that it got to a situation where it needed to be monitored the whole entire time I was doing the program.
Absolutely. But you can also go into an internet search engine of your choosing and type in Dr. McDougall diabetes and read up on some of the articles that he wrote about it. But if you are on medication, you need to be medically supervised. It's just like a hypertensive patient. We don't want you passing out in your mashed potatoes. You
Right.
need to have like your meds adjusted, and they need to be done safely and with somebody that's actually done this in before versus somebody that's never seen this. And that's why we have medical students come through our programs. They actually get to see firsthand, hey, change the way how patients eat, turn around and see that we could decrease and eventually take them off medications. And some people still need judicious amount of medication. Sorry, I'm stumbling over my words. And sometimes you need to take longer to adjust your meds. You need to like really eat this way for a good 4 to 6 months, and have those little changes happening. But it's absolutely doable, and we deal with it all the time.
And don't, and I do want to caution too, that people don't think, well, I'm going to just get off everything and then I'm going to be fine, because life events happen, things change. You may have to go back on your medication for a while, or a small, like, what did Dr. McDougall used to call it?
Judicious use of medication.
Just a small, weekly dosage kind of supplemental kind of thing to help keep things moving right, things like that. So, but to find out what you need and to find out, where you are, you've got to have that medical attention to get there. Nothing
Absolutely.
that I can say as someone who's experienced it, nothing that Tiffany can say as someone who deals with it on a daily basis. It's such an individual thing when it comes to your metabolic everything, that you have to have that supported by a physician. You just really do. And
hi, Elizabeth.
I love Elizabeth is my buddy. She's my travel buddy now. Well, shout out Elizabeth, y'all. If you don't know, if you haven't heard us talk about Elizabeth before, and I don't want to embarrass her or anything like that, but Elizabeth has been doing cruises probably once a month since she has been on the McDougall Starch solution, and she's lost about 60 pounds. So, you can do this and live your best life, right? And when it clicks into place and you get it and you understand your body and you understand your hunger cues, it all just falls into place, right?
Yeah.
And she's doing fantastic, and so proud of her. And thank you for the birthday wishes. Elizabeth says, I want to weep when I think about how simple this program is and how much I used to go crazy over food and just couldn't figure this out. Who would have thought the answer would be a simple potato? Yeah, that's the thing. You go into this and your mind is just all like, it can't be that easy, and then the doubter's over here going, nah. And then you just take 12 days and you do it.
Right. And like news break, Elizabeth is down 68 pounds now.
68 pounds, yes. Fantastic. Fantastic.
Oh, and your welcome video nights. Oh, video 1,000. Is it 1,000?
Yeah.
I don't have glasses.
Video 1,000 nights. Yeah. Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
This has been so fun. Oh my gosh.
This has been good. Seems so good. Okay. I'm so proud of you, Elizabeth, and I get to see Elizabeth in a couple weeks, so very excited about that. And we will be cruising together once again. And I have learned from Elizabeth things that, I skipped over during the program. And it's like we talk about our experiences and we both go, oh, wow, yeah. And then, we learn from each other and we go on. And that's what this community is all about, is y'all being able to learn. Go take the McDougall Starch solution if you want to, and then, you bounce what you've learned off of other people that have gone through it as well or are interested in it. And as a community, we all just start making each other healthier. I mean, that's the whole point, is let's get healthy. Very important.
Absolutely. So video 1,000 nights. She just went back and said, same for 3 years while staying vegan, related to sofas, imperfect, whole food, plant based, worked weight loss, then similar, same imperfect, whole food, plant based, seemed to lead to weight gain. Yes, because remember, when you start something like these are questions I would be personally asking you. When you were younger, because this is when you were younger, what was going on? Were you working out? Were you not working out? Were you making sure that you were paying attention to your hunger and satiety cues better? Were you eating mindlessly, meaning eating for sport, like in front of a TV or whatnot? Or did that creep in later? You know, like these are things like when my patients tell me, oh, no, 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 I'm doing this, I'm doing this. And I smile and go, yep, I want a food journal for a week. You could either send it to me daily or you could wait a whole week. And I have my highlights. The yellow highlights are things that you need to take out immediately. The blue highlights, please think about decreasing and or getting rid of it sooner rather than later. And then I have a whole list, like you can't just put salad dressing. I want to know what's in it. You know, so I'm, you know, and what is your exercise? I mean, if you used to be a professional athlete and you're exercising at like this crazy level, and now, oh, you still exercise, but you're not at that performance level anymore. Well, that's gonna, you know, that's calories in, calories out. That's going to affect your weight loss. So, you know, did you find that you have now more nuts, seeds, and avocados coming in on a more of a daily, weekly, monthly basis than you did? Are you going to the same amount of birthday parties? But before, when you were first doing this, you were very straightforward and gung ho of, nope, I'm not doing that. I'm doing what I'm doing. And now it's like, you know, the chocolate cake kind of looks good. Maybe I'll have a sliver. You know, I mean, all of these things do add up. So for me, that's where I would say, you know, I would love to have you in the 12-day program, because these are things that we work individually with every person to say, hey, you know, what's going on.
Muted. Okay,
You did.
Elizabeth says, I agree. I do not weigh and measure anything, but I still write down everything I eat every day, and this helps me be accountable. And, you know, some people cannot stand writing stuff down, but I think still, if you're in a situation where you're like, why am I stuck? Why is that needle not moving? Why is it moving in the wrong direction? I think writing it down helps, because you can sit there and go, but I know everything I put in my mouth today. And I've often said that to Kathy. I know everything I put in my mouth. I had this, and this. And then she'll come up with 3 other things or 4 other things that she saw me put in my mouth that I obliviously forgot about.
Right. And when I decided to change the way I ate, I think I've shared with you, it was because, you know, I met actually Dr. McDougall. And you have to understand, when I was overweight and obese for my height and weight, I was not the chick out to here at all. Like, I held it in my face, my boobs, my stomach, my arms. But I was also an athlete. So I also have, you know, more muscle on me. So all I had to do was wear some like taller shoes and dress appropriately. And even Dr. McDougall never realized until I lost my weight. He's like, I didn't realize you were that big. And I was like, I know, right? But when I decided to change my diet because of finding out from, you know, articles Dr. McDougall recommended I read, because I worked at a hospital, of why my dad died at 55, that was more of a turning point. And I didn't do everything overnight, but what I did was I was doing things and I thought I was doing it correctly. And then I finally like got rid of everything. But I would make exceptions. Like, you know, I lived in an area where it was a retirement community. I was not retired. Everybody else was. So, you know, I was taught to respect my elders. So I would go somewhere and I didn't want to be rude and be like, oh, I'm not eating that. Oh, no. And if you have a glass of wine, you know, things just fly into your mouth so quickly. I mean, it's like, whoa, I don't know how that hit, but it did, you know. And so finally, my friend that decided that they would do this with me, you know, nothing like brutal honesty. One day he said, hey, Tiff, what are you doing wrong? How are you effing this up? And I was like, well, what do you mean? And he looked me dead in the eye and said, dude, I've dropped 50 pounds and you're still fat. So what's up with that? And, brutal honesty,
It
if you're
helps.
not into constructive criticism, you should be. Because the way I've always looked at it is somebody does not care about you. Outside of them trying to be vicious to you, they're not going to open their mouth and try to say anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that was his way because, we're friends, that, oh, what that made me realize was the exception here and the exception there was not once in a while. It ended up creeping into being more of a normal thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why when I decided to do this wholeheartedly, it was straightforward. For 6 months, I remember it was right before Rosh Hashanah. For 6 months, I'm going to eat a starch-based diet with fruits and vegetables, no oil. I am not going to have dessert because I don't care if it's Mary McDougall or Julia Child. A dessert is
Yeah.
nothing but fat and extra calories, And I was like, all right, I'm not going to have nuts, seeds, and avocado. That was kind of my thing. And, but, hey, as long as it's not Bailey's Irish Cream, champagne is McDougall, right? So, but I was honest. I'm in my 20s, and it was like, okay, as long as I make sure that I realize if I'm going to a wine event, I have potatoes with me because I'm going to need something
Mm-hmm.
heartier and I don't want to just eat bread the entire time I'm there with
Right.
vegetables, because I want to make sure. Not that I'm drinking everything, but, you swish, you spit. If it's a great wine, yeah, I want to sip. But, when you're doing that, I already knew going into it. They're going to have amazing cheeses. They're going to have breads. They're going to have
Mm-hmm.
crudité. Their hummus is going to probably have olive oil all over it. The olive tapenade is going to be a higher fat item, and it probably has oil in it. So just going in, it was like, all I had to do was just pop a few potatoes on my plate with the crudité. Nobody knew what I was doing. Oh, where'd you get the potatoes? Oh, over there. But when I did that, and I made sure I ate when I was hungry and I stopped when I was satiated. 3 months later, my same friend came to me and said, dude, you gotta go shopping. You look like a bag lady. Like your clothes are way too big. It's not sexy.
Right.
And so, that's why when people talk about, well, I'm doing this, especially like with, if you listen to a lot of different people in the plant-based world, everybody has a little tweaks and they have their little, thing about this and that. And, it's great. There's some really great people out there, but when you're trying to follow too many things kind of slip. And so really just being focused and staying the course. We've been doing this medical program for, what? Let me think. I don't know, at least 4 decades that I could think of off the top of my head, and we just really know, and we're so lucky that Dr. McDougall was really into this. It's not difficult if you kind of follow certain guidelines,
Yeah.
but we're also human. And this is why we have Dr. Doug Lyle,
Exactly.
because, it's hard to deal with people
Mm-hmm.
that don't eat this way,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't want to offend anyone. And and I'll be honest, I've had some, when I was in my 20s, I had this one particular woman that was downright nasty. It was probably the rudest I've ever been in public, because I do care about not being rude in public. But I was at a function and she noticed what I was and was not eating and asked about it. And I said, oh, I eat this certain way because, it for better health, and, I've lost weight. And she had seen me lose weight. So, and she goes, oh, well, and she was very, very thin. She was like, I just think thin. And I was like, well, I'm glad that works for you because it doesn't for me.
Exactly.
And then she had another question about, well, what do you mean by health? And I brought up my father, and this woman went to out loud obliterate me about, oh, well, my doctor says this, and I do this, and I do this, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm not really into starting a fight with anybody, because
Mm.
what most people don't know about me, you guys might, but I have Jeff Novick's private phone number. Trust me, I text that man every day. I have no problem saying, Jeff, can you send me as many articles as you can about this? And not articles even he wrote. I'm talking research, baby,
Yeah.
research. But I choose not to do that, you know. But this woman was so rude that I finally like looked at her and said, wow, you asked a question, I answered it. If you didn't want my answer, don't ask the question. And I walked away. And that's kind of it. It's like you knowing your audience. It's like, hey, if they're not ready to hear this, don't beat them up. But let me tell you, you get healthier, because when I got healthier, not one girlfriend of mine that I grew up with ever said anything about, wow, you look great. All my guy friends did, but not one girlfriend from what I knew from, many, many years. And I'm literally thinking I have gone down X amount of drugs. I mean, like probably over 10. How can you not know? I mean, yeah, I know I wore clothes, that would make me not look as big, but come on, we all know our girlfriends, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I used to be offended by that, but then I thought about it and I thought, maybe it just makes them feel bad that they're not strong enough at this moment in their life to make appropriate changes. So when people see you get healthier, that, hey, you're not on your medication anymore. How? You look great, because remember, you could lose weight many ways. Lots of people choose Ozempic. A lot of people don't eat. A lot of people do cocaine. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I'm not trying to skirt
No,
the issue.
it's true. I mean,
You
those
can
are the.
lose weight any way, I mean, my husband even laughs. He's like, well, you could lose weight on keto. I'm like, absolutely. You put your body through ketosis. Yeah, well, your body's working a lot harder, and hope to God that you don't drop dead of a heart attack anytime soon. But these are ways that anybody can lose weight. But just because you're skinny or you lost weight doesn't mean you look healthy. I mean, honestly, like if you've looked, go through like some magazines of different movie stars and whatnot. Some look fantastic. Some you kind of look at and go, yeah, you know what? I think they might not be vegan, but they're definitely taking care of themselves. I mean, Michelle Pfeiffer, she was vegetarian for eons. And I think somebody told me a few years back that she kind of finally hit the vegan train. You know, Alicia Silverstone, another, very famous vegan. I know she posed for PETA. But I mean, there are people out there that even if they're not full-blown vegan, they're eating more of a plant-based style and making sure they get their starches in, and they're exercising and they're taking care of themselves. And you could see that in the glow of their skin.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I know that you are in the middle of a 12-day program, and we have
12
kept
week.
you
Oh no.
half
12 days.
and 12 days. Did I say 12-week? I'm sorry. That would just make your
That's
head
okay.
explode. But we have kept you later, and I know that you need to get your reports done and stuff like that. So we are going to say goodbye to everyone. We've had the best time.
Adios.
Tiffany will
Yeah.
be back with us next month. I think we've got something.
I don't know. Did we do April dates yet?
We may not have, because that's Kathy's birthday month and it's a little tricky,
Yeah,
but we'll talk to you about it definitely and
absolutely.
see if we can work something in there. And thanks everyone for the birthday wishes.
Yeah.
Thanks Tiffany for spending some time on my birthday with me. And
Thank you for
everyone,
having me on your birthday. This has been a
yeah.
blast.
And
Yeah.
remember, if you're interested in the bundle, we do have a link to the bundle in the show notes. If you do choose to purchase the bundle through us, it does help us continue to bring you great programming like this, with Tiffany being able to come on, and Stacy, and the McDougall folks. And who knows, maybe we'll be able to get some other McDougall folks on here at some point as well, which would be really fun too. And so we're going to say goodbye for today. And
Yeah.
everybody